Hey guys, what's up? EvilHammer6 here, and today I'm going to kind of go off of a couple other YouTubers' ideas, and I'm going to kind of post some of the stuff I do in real life, kind of show you what I do and what I'm passionate about, other than just RuneScape. I know a lot of you come here for my God Wars guides and boss guides, but if you ever want to watch something else, this will be it. The one thing I am passionate about, and that I actually I'm currently going to school for, I have a little less than a semester left, is architecture. And I'm going right now for my bachelor's, and I have completed most of my studio classes, which those I will show you some of the stuff that I do in there in a few minutes. It's a lot of design work that basically started out when I first came into the program, with more of an abstract forms and dealing with forms, and slowly evolved into making those forms into buildings that would be able to be used by people and that were functional. It is a very interesting process to study and learn about, and especially design yourself. I plan to make my own house, and there's more stuff that I will go into, but this is just going to be a little overview video of what I've currently did. And then if you guys are interested in specific things that I show you, you can ask me and I'll explain it a little bit more in another video. But this will just be a little bit of an overview. Okay guys, so here are, this is the best random collection I have, kind of date-wise, of stuff that I've did in my studio class. Classes, I think the ones that are actually earlier that I did are at the bottom. Now, a lot of what I do are models. In studio, what we would do is we'd actually do multiple versions of these pictures that you're going to be seeing of models. The ones that I have pictures of now are my final model, and that would be after we would do this. This, I believe, was a museum. This was my second year, and so at this point it was more about the form and less about how people would get around, more about the spaces inside of the building, and what the building actually looked like. So the idea here was, I had a bunch of other ideas that we did at first prelim. We had 3 ideas, and this was the one that I developed the furthest. And it kind of started out to be a random assortment of things that I glued together, and that's basically how it ended out. Now, as you can see here, I have hand-drawn boards. Now, how to explain that to you is when we did a presentation, as well as having a physical model, which was this picture here, that I should have a model of what my idea was. We also had to draw it. And during the first and second year, everything I did was hand-drawn. So this is a very horrible scan that I have showing it. I will maybe grab some more out and get better scans at Kinko's and stuff, but these are huge. So it's hard to get really good scans of them. This that you're looking at just on the screen here, I guess I can take it up to full screen. I hope it'll record everything. It's still small, but this was a 2 by 4 sheet piece of paper, so 2 feet by 4 feet. So they're huge drawings. And now this here is a site plan with the walkway and stuff around it. So the idea of this, sorry guys, I'm really bad at explaining this because it was a very long time ago when I actually did the presentation for these things. So it was dynamic versus static. The first floor of the building was in the ground, and as you can see here, it's a lot of square, simple geometric shapes. And then as it went up stories, it got all twisted and tangled and became really hard to distinguish what it actually was. So pieces of it broke apart and created holes and openings, and then the simple glass panes that would be at the bottom, which you can kind of see in this, which would be this little design here, would then start just shattering and going up onto the roof, and the roof would actually bend down into form some of the walls and stuff. Now at that point, that was more space. So as I'm talking about that project, you can see that it's more spaces and stuff. Also, I'm very good at doing 3D modeling and anything that is on a computer drafting. So I'm sure a lot of you aren't familiar with it, but there's a couple programs that I'm very good with. AutoCAD, and it's the one that I specifically use for architecture modeling is called Rivet. And then this is done in Rhino, and it's rendered with a program called V-Ray. So I actually modeled. It's just a little webcam. It was just a assignment that we did in class, but it's just something interesting to look at. And then also there's more models here that I did. I have so many. Also, I'm not great with Photoshop, but I'm pretty good with it. This was when I first started Photoshop. So I took this here, I cut out all the background and stuff, and I basically just tried to blend it in. I did this really weird smudge thing around it, and it just turned up horrible. This was a museum project as well, and this was more about flowing spaces. And as you can see, it's kind of got really flowy things on it. This was first year, still second semester. This is a private chapel that we actually had to do. And what the first year was about was specific words that we would try to completely show. So this one was actually spline, if I can remember right now. Splaying. So everything in this building splays apart. There's little slits in windows, walkways, and ramps that get split apart. I don't think I have any drawings scanned in for this specific building, but they were pretty intense. And as we get down here, this was third year, and this is actually a cover photo I have somewhere also. It is a giant spa that is completely done. What you're looking at right now is a rendering. So what it is a model, and then you put it through a rendering program, which makes all the nice textures and stuff go on it. And it was done in Rivet. Basically, the idea was to mimic. I live in Ohio, and Cleveland. It's a city in Northeast Ohio, and I was trying to mimic the triangular roofs that were in the vicinity of the area. So at this point in my educational career, we were looking towards other models to represent how it would blend in. So there's like pool outside, and I wasn't that great at rendering yet. I didn't understand it. This was actually the best rendering of it that I got. It's an inside photo of the wading pool, and then a skylight that has the shapes actually upside down. It's really beautiful. I need to find these in better quality for you guys next time. But they're all on a hard drive that is like ridiculously hard to find because there's just a mess of file. Now these are actually scans, printouts, and Photoshop of drawings. So this is what you see right there is a drawing, but I photoshopped over it, so it's a composite of a bunch of things. And this I actually studied abroad in Florence, which I might talk about later, for a semester, and we studied all the architecture there. We also did a museum project. It was actually called a Mediatek that we designed there. It was actually in one of the forts that we designed it. I don't know if I have. See here, yeah, this is one of the renderings. This is when I started messing around with night renderings, rendering a photo, which I think I have the original of, and then making it into night. So yeah, this was the original one, and then I kind of made it into a night rendering, as you can see there. Wasn't the best, that one wasn't, but it was something I started. And then this model was ridiculously intense. These are little stairs and stuff inside the building. This model I was pretty... These models take a very long time to build, by the way. I think this one was probably invested with about 24 hours to build it, and it doesn't look that great. I was in Italy, of course, so the models and our education wasn't the main focus. Even when we were there, the professors knew that. And this was during my third year, this next project you see here, this wavy thing. It was a getaway home for a family getaway, and it was actually, and you can see it's kind of on stilts. It was hovering over, in my design, it was over a river, so it was very outdoorsy and very wavy, very flowing is the idea. So how a family flows and combines and twists together to with their feelings and such. That's kind of what that project displayed. This is another. This is one of the renderings I really liked from Italy. This actually is a rendering with textures, and also, like, you see the brick that I have in there and the grass in the background, and some of those buildings back there have texture on them, like the brick texture. I actually photoshopped those in after I render it, so it makes it looks even more real. And this next one this is a private house that I did fourth year, so you can kind of see, as I feel at least, that my renderings get a little bit better. So it was just a house built into a wall, no, not a wall, a hill, and the reason why, what we were getting to at this point in my educational career, was really the technical aspect. So there's beams on it, there's beams you can see jetting out, holding up the roof. We had to think more than just form and stuff. So there is form in it. You can see the water kind of flowing down the side of this building, and there's a contrast in this building between the brick, and then on one side I have cement jutting out. But what it was really about was the climate. This was in desert, so we had to make it so it was enjoyable for the desert, and it would adapt it to the climate. So there's a sunroom. It's in the ground because it's a lot cooler on the ground. You don't need as much heat. There were solar panels. The roof would collect water, and there was a storage tank on the inside. These plants that you see on the right side that form the concrete side, that are planters. So there's plants on that side, and there's water on this side. The water keeps it cool on this side, and then the other side is hit by the sun the most of the day, so it shades that side of the building. This was a skin that we had to do for a building on our campus, and we reskinned it. So what I mean by that is, instead of tearing down the building, what you do is we took off the walls on the outside of the building and put on a new eco-friendly wall. And this was actually the model. This is my most intense model I've ever did. It was a peel away of the structure of the wall that I would do and the roof. And a lot of this is not hand cut. It's what you call laser cut. You can put the program I was talking about before. It's called AutoCAD. You can draw something on there with lines and stuff that I might show you guys later, and then you can have it print out into a printer. And this printer is a laser cutter, so it will cut parts and score them, which means that it'll just make a little divot in them. And those are the lines on this roof that you see. And this is actually the model of the previous thing you just saw, which took a lot of time to do. And in my opinion, is one of the best things I've ever, models I've ever made in my educational career. It's very detailed, and I got an A on this easily. He was really my teacher was very impressed with that. So I think that's about everything I have on here. That I can get to access easily, that you guys are going to see. This was another one that I did. Ironically, we do a lot of museums. This was actually a media tech also, I believe. So a media theater, I think is what we called it. Independent film center. So it had a lot of protruding aspects from it. So everything was facing outside. And this was kind of when I got into renderings too. This was really funny. This was one of the indoor theaters for it. And I put the Sparta background on the screen, photoshopped it in there. It was just something I did that makes it interesting. It's something I really enjoyed, and if I didn't have this to drive me forward, other than RuneScape and stuff that I do in game, that is actually escape from everything in real life. To me, it is. But this actually is what I plan to do with my life eventually, and it's very interesting. So if you guys have any questions or like something specifically that you want me to go over, maybe explain in a little bit more detail, please let me know. I plan to do that in the future. Show you guys a little bit more about maybe every week or every other week I'll post a video about stuff that I do in real life or something that's come up or something like that, just to maybe not keep you guys updated, but kind of show you how I get through things and show you what I'm interested in other than just RuneScape. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.